Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable Dean of Business and Economics Faculty, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Dr. Jakasriana SAMSI, or the representative. The Honorable Associate Professor, Dr. Muhammad Ridwan Abdul Aziz, Dean Faculty of Economics Muamalat, University Science Islam Malaysia. The Honorable Professor Dr. Azali B. Muhammad, Dean School of Business and Economics, University Putra, Malaysia. Honorable invited speakers, guests, and all the committees and participants of International Student Mobility, International Business Sustainability Initiative 2020. Now, we step to the main agenda of today, namely Webinar Series 1, Discovering Sustainable Business Idea Through Digital Transformation and Innovation. But before that, let me introduce you to the moderator of the webinar, Mr. Putra Endi Chatyanadika. Currently, he is a lecturer in Department of Management Science Faculty of Business and Economics, Universitas Islam Indonesia, and also an editor of Jurnal Siasat Bisnis or GSB FBA UII. He has an interest in operational management, digital environment, and sustainability management. The next one, let me introduce you to the speaker of the webinar, Mr. Bagus Panuntun. Currently, he is a lecturer in management at Universitas Islam Indonesia. To Mr. Bagus and Mr. Dika. So this is the experience of Mr. Bagus Panuntun. A lot of experience has already been achieved by him. So to Mr. Bagus and Mr. Dika, the forum is all yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone and welcome to the first webinar of International Student Mobility 2020. My name is Dika and it's a pleasure to be a moderator for this session. Today we're going to talk about digital and business. We know that information technology nowadays has an enormous impact on the business nowadays. Business become cheaper, faster, easier, and able to accommodate and make a collaboration for all the people around the world to make a new business opportunity. On the other hand, the global pandemic of COVID-19 already saved the business, already changed the business landscape and accelerate the use of information technology. How's the opportunity after COVID-19? How's the business and digital able to make a new business opportunity more offer after this COVID-19 pandemic? In order to answer the question, already present in the studio, our speaker today, please welcome Mr. Bagus Panuntun. Hello, Pak Bagus. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Before we start presentation session with Mr. Bagus Panuntun, I would like to briefly introduce him. He is a lecturer of a management department of Faculty of Business and Economics Universitas Islam Indonesia. He also a deputy director of IBISMA UAE. Is it right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, would you explain a bit about what IBISMA is actually?
Okay, IBISMA is the technology and business incubators that owned by the universities.
So it's like a platform from students to gather together and share idea about business.
Yes, of course. This is a business incubators. If you or all the audience ever seen the movie of startups like a sandbox, IBISMA is look like a sandbox.
Interesting. And I also read your CV actually before today's session that you're not only a lecturer, you're also a professional, you're also a business coach, a business consultant with a working experience more than 12 years old.
Thank you.
So actually the person that sits next to me is the master in business innovation. Okay, before we move to the next session, which is your presentation, I would like to explain to all the audience about the rules of this webinar. Rule number 1, please mute your Zoom during the presentation. And if you have a question, you can write your question in the chat feature in Zoom, or after the presentation ends, we will enter the discussion session. You can directly ask to our speakers by using a raise hand feature, and I will choose which one of you will ask Mr. Bagus a question. Okay, are you ready? I think we can move to the next session, which is the main session, your presentation. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please give warm welcome to Mr. Bagus Panuntun. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much sekali Pak Putra Andy. Okay, first of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you very much for the Faculty of Business and Economics. It's an honorable opportunity for me to share to all of you in these sessions. And then in these topics, I will talk about discovering the sustainable business ideas through the digital transformation and innovations. Actually, this topic will become the most recent topics for the business in recent days, especially perhaps more 5 or 10 years ago. And then how the business become digital. And right now, the digital transformation is really on our eyes in every days, in every life. Okay. Next, I will. Okay. This one. This is the most recent issues that happens in our world today. This is the most talkable issues in the world. Talk about the COVID-19 pandemics. This is the health issues actually, but because of these health issues, more than 67 million people infected, and then affected to 220 countries in the world. It is almost 100% countries, and also have 1.5 million casualties, dead casualties. And especially in Indonesia itself, the number of casualties is quite big, 17,000 casualties, and even in Malaysia also being infected. These issues that started from the health issues, it now becomes the economic issues. Why? It started on March, and then it's already more than 7 to 8 months, and then infected to all business in the global ecosystems. Okay, this is the impact that I already recorded. I recorded from BBC. The BBC stated the Asia's shining stars suffer biggest event slump. So a lot of countries in Asia, even Japan, even Korea, even Singapore itself, they suffer from these pandemics, become the economic recessions, and also in Indonesia. And then, some of the countries, even in Malaysia itself, also what we call get the first contractions. So there are contractions, there are recessions, and then we all happens in all countries. And this is the most situations, sorry. Okay, these situations are making the shock wave. We call the shock wave in the business. We have 4 shock waves. I take it the data from the startup genomes, especially for the young people, for the millennials. They try to build a business in form of startups. And in digital world, startups really become the role players, the main players. The first shock wave that happens because of the pandemic is talk about the capitals. There are a lot of companies, even 4 out of every 10 startups will die less than 3 months because they don't have any cash. Even when they are really depends on venture capitals, the spending of venture capitals is also going down, really drop. Okay, the next shock wave is about the talent and jobs. Because the business is slowing down, the revenue also slowing down, so the business have to rationalize their financial situations. Talk about talent and jobs also become decrease. And then the third shock wave is the market itself. So the market also going down in every sectors, and then we can see from the graph, there are a lot of market that being decreased more than 40%. And then the revenue will become the first impact that comes from the market because the customer stops spending and then the customer would prefer to spend on their best priorities, perhaps on the primary needs rather than the secondary or even the tertiary needs. And then the fourth shock wave is talk about the operations and management. When we talk about the operation and management, we will see how they're spending their operations is really what we call suffer. And then usually the startups really starting cutting costs. Some try to cut off a little bit earlier, start from 5% in January, and then cut off again 5% in the second half, in February 6%, even in March, it's almost 50% they cut costs. This is March. And then right now it's already entered the December. This graph will become a bloody red for the cash flows. Okay, so some of the researchers try to make a survey. This is the business that potential winners and losers in short terms. This data is come in the middle of June or July. There are some businesses that become the potential loser. For example, tourisms and then automations. But some of the business related with the health, such as like the food processing, medical health, and IoT itself, ICT, it still survive. So this will become the information for you when we enter the business by utilizing the technologies and try to transforming our business from the conventional one or non-technology, and then you put the technology in your business, then you will be survive. Okay. So this is the first question. So when we see there are health pandemics, the health issues, the macroeconomic issues, then the question is when the right time to build a business. Based on these situations and based on the research, the best time to start the business is right now. Why? Because you will think harder. You will think very serious to set up your value propositions because your customers also think very seriously to spend their money. So when you can get the market in these situations, then you will become the market leaders. Why? Because there's not a lot of business that will survive without a very clear strategies. Okay, so when we try to discovering, this is the right times. Okay, next one. And how to make the sustainable business. Because the second issues that we would like to talk about is sustainability. When we talk as sustainables, there are some canvas from the Alex Osterwelders. You can take it from strategizers.com that called the value proposition canvas. It is simple. How to make your business sustains is to make sure your value are matched or fit with your customer profile. So what you have to do, before you create value, please really observe your customer. Because when you observe your customer very detailed, even in their daily activities, even on their behavior, even on the way they're spending, you will see which values become the most priority of your customers. And when you take their priorities, customer will buy your product without thinking anymore. That's the most significant point when talk about the value propositions to customers. So you can see in here, and you can also take a look in the Google's how about the value proposition concepts. Okay. And then, after knowing your customers, knowing the profile, you have to make sure that product or services that you offer to your customers have to be fit. And talk about this fit. This is not a simple questions because it's only 3 alphabetical words, but the word fit should come from the validated research. Wow, this is so academic. Okay, some of the parts is really academic, but the important part is like this. When we talk about fit, at least we have 3 stages of fit. The first fit is the problem solution fit. So when you guys, students, or even the startup founders, please make sure when you release the business, your business is answering any problems of your customers. Your business become the solutions of your customers. And then how to validate? The validations comes when your prospected customers that have problems buy your services, buy your products. Then it will be validated, becomes fit. The second stage of fit is the product market fit.
Ada per semester ada.
Okay. When the product market fit, this is the situations when your product entering the market with a very bigger customer size. So not only a small segment of customer in the problem solution fit, but you try to tap more than 1 or 2 segments of your customers. In the problem solution fit, a simple tools that you can use is a value proposition canvas. There is simple tools. In the product market fit, you can start it to use the lean canvas. How to create the best products to enter the market. And the third steps is a business model fit. In this stage of business model fit, there are a canvas that called the business model canvas with the 9 blocks. 9 blocks that will guide you how to run a business. Not only how to produce a product or services, but how to run a business. how to maintain your partners, how to maintain your key activities, how to maintain your channel, how to maintain your customer relationships. On this stage, when you could create a business with a good business models, then your business will be sustained. So these three kind of fit will be a dashboard for you, at least to know whether your business will continue and survive or will die. When your business you perceive will die, the emergency ways is you have to be ready to do the pivot. Okay? And the next. This is simple tips, guys. Simple tips on discovering business ideas. I will not start with a very academic ways, but start it with a very simple one. The first one, please start with your families. You can talk with families. You can brainstorming with the families. You can get any ideas from your families, the most closest part in your life. The second one, please get a little help from your friends. Talk about your friends. Have many networking with a lot of friends will help you. Third one is look at all the things that bug you. You have to see something that disturb you. And this will become the potential problem that you can solve later. Tap your interest, whatever the interest. Doing travel. This is the most enjoyable activities for the millennials. A lot of traveling. By traveling, you can see many opportunities. By traveling, you can see potential business in every situation, in every place that you can tap in. Keep your eyes open for any opportunities, for any technologies, for anything. And then take it to the street. Yeah, you examine and then take it to the street. Sleep on it. The last one, go online. Because online is a very simple way to penetrate the markets. Okay, this is a very simple tips. And then, based on Indonesia case, I will bring you the situations of Indonesia case. This could be one of the examples of ideas for you. In Indonesia, we develop the creative economies. And then usually the millennials, startups that on the age of not more than 25 years old, a lot of the founders enter this business. Culinary, fashions, craft, television, radio, even advertising, music, and many things. And then, Indonesia also have the startups unicorn. Why I put this one as one of the slides? Because most of the startup founders is also still younger, below 40. They can do it, become the unicorn, so that you will be the next unicorn, as long as you really believe and do hard work to realize your dreams. Okay? And then, when you build the startups, the most important thing is when you open your eyes, open your network, do collaborations. Because it's already a lot of startups, already a lot of business exists in your ecosystems. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel to start everything from scratch. Use their resources, use their expertise for every part of your business. For example, in financials, you don't have to hire any accountant, for example. Just do the software of one of the providers of one of the startups. When you want to make a point of sales, you don't have to hire a logistic man. You just use the startups that exist. Then you will run the business very fast. Okay. And then, this is the most, the recent figures right now. When you see some of the Korean dramas, startups, you can see how the millennials build their business. How how they pursue their ideal situations, and then how they really take a very big effort in the digital life. This is the scene of Korean situations. But I believe in Indonesia, in Singapore, and in every countries, the millennial will face the same situations when they try to build the startups. Okay, and how about in UAE? We are in Universitas Islam Indonesia also create an entrepreneurial ambience for millennials, and I believe from our partner universities like from UPM and USIM also have an effort to develop that one. So I will share some of the short videos and how we develop the entrepreneurial situations and innovations in UAE. Okay, could you play this one? Sound on.
Perguruan tinggi nasional pertama di Indonesia yang berdiri sejak tahun 1945 dan berlokasi di Provinsi Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta. IBISMA adalah inkubasi bisnis dan inovasi bersama yang berdiri sejak tahun 2014. Saat ini, IBISMA berada di bawah koordinasi Direktorat Pembinaan dan Pengembangan Kewirausahaan atau Simpul Tumbuh. Wakil Rektor Bidang Networking dan Entrepreneurship. IBISMA diberi amanah untuk mengelola dan memfasilitasi program pengembangan kewirausahaan dan inkubasi bisnis di lingkungan UI. Dalam rangka melahirkan wirausaha muda yang memiliki keunggulan inovasi, kemandirian usaha, serta mampu berkontribusi dalam pertumbuhan ekonomi bangsa melalui berbagai program pra-inkubasi, inkubasi, dan pasca-inkubasi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Amaria Dilasari, Direktur IBISMA UII. IBISMA merupakan inkubator bisnis dan inovasi bersama Universitas Islam Indonesia. IBISMA memiliki tujuan strategis. Yang pertama, melahirkan startup berbasis teknologi. Yang kedua adalah menghilirisasi hasil inventasi riset. Yang ketiga adalah meningkatkan perekonomian melalui peningkatan lapangan kerja baru. Terima kasih. Make the connection and grow together. Sekian, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Program IBISMA 1. Pra-inkubasi, antara lain seminar dan talkshow, ngobras atau ngobrol bareng startup, dan LDR atau live dari rumah. Seleksi tenant, talent scouting melalui program UBI atau UI Business Innovation Challenge. Kedua, inkubasi, mentoring dan coaching. IBISMA memberikan materi mentoring berdasarkan kebutuhan startup yang disampaikan oleh para pakar di bidangnya. Kurikulum mentoring dan coaching dikelola dalam bentuk IBISMA Growth Academy and Growth Talkshow. Monitoring dan evaluasi. Program monitoring dan evaluasi tenant dilaksanakan menggunakan platform tenant management system atau TMS. Startup Expo atau Growth Festival. Growth Festival merupakan acara akbar tahunan yang berupa eksibisi, seminar, workshop, dan graduation sebagai puncak kegiatan program inkubasi IBISMA. Ketiga, pasca inkubasi. Network. IBISMA memberikan akses jejaring melalui kegiatan business matching dan corporate gathering. Akses pendanaan lanjut. IBISMA memberikan akses pendanaan lanjut melalui kegiatan investor pitching dan business gathering. Fasilitas IBISMA, pendanaan internal IBISMA dan akses pendanaan eksternal, program inkubasi, ruang tenan, training room, meeting room, co-working space dan commercial space, fasilitas teknologi dan akses laboratorium. Tenant, hingga saat ini IBISMA telah menginkubasi lebih dari 70 startup dengan total memfasilitasi pendanaan lebih dari 5 miliar rupiah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Nur Cahyati, CEO Plasrit. Plasrit merupakan salah satu tenan dari IBISMA UII. Plasrit adalah inovasi terbaru yang mendorong ekonomi sirkular dengan mempercepat proses daur ulang yang akan menyelesaikan masalah plastik di dunia. Plasrit dengan konsep reverse vending machine menyediakan kemudahan dalam mendaur ulang botol plastik dengan waktu yang singkat. Plasrit mendukung SDGs nomor 11, 12, 14, dan 15. Dengan menggunakan plastik, kita dapat mengurangi peningkatan jumlah sampah di TPA dan kita dapat membantu perusahaan dalam menerapkan ICR. Alhamdulillah, saat ini plastik mengikuti program inkubasi dari IBISMA UII, di mana kami mendapatkan pendanaan, pendampingan, serta pelatihan guna mengembangkan bisnis model kami. Plastrit, gender inclusive, fun, and valuable product for all people. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Let's make connection and grow together. Inkubasi bisnis dan inovasi bersama Universitas Islam Indonesia. Inovasi bersama Universitas Islam Indonesia.
Okay. There is some short video that explains you about how UII, how Universitas Islam Indonesia, developed the business incubation and also developed the innovations. And we open the all innovation from every sectors or every academic sectors, for examples, not from economics, but from the green technology, for examples. And then this is the chance for all of the younger millennials. You have to be brave to solve the problems that happens in the world. Like one of the startups that incubated by IBISMA are solving the three SDG problems. And then we incubated them in 8 months. So you have to be brave to start your business by solving the problems. Okay. And then, in here, in Universitas Islam Indonesia, we have two types of supports, from the academics, from the curriculums. Because UII also try to implementing the toward entrepreneurial universities. So a lot of programs, a lot of departments are trying to input the entrepreneurial learning outcome in the curriculums. And also from the non-curriculum supports, we have the technology and business incubators. I believe in your universities you have too. And then these two approach encourage you to take part in a business field. Okay, and this is the ecosystems that we developed, starting from the students, from the researchers, or even the lecturers that become the inventor. We try to develop the output-based learning, become startups, and then we combine it with the partners, academicians, business, community, government, and even media. And then we deliver the 7S, which is space, share, services, support, skills, seed capital. Because some of the millennials say that I cannot start the business because I don't have any initial capitals. In here, in IBISMA, in Universitas Islam Indonesia, we provide you up to 200 million rupiah seed capitals for startups. And it's open for students, from alumni, or even from outside the universities. Like in the previous sessions with the hackathons, some of the startups from the Temasek Polytechnic and also from the Dutain, Vietnam, we also help them how to get a very good business plan, for examples. And then we open for their startups to mentoring and coaching in UII too. Okay, and we also start the incubations in January. So if you are the students and you want to be incubated, it's like a sandbox when open the tenants. We also open the tenant 10 tenants for 1 year. Okay, and then this is our startups. We already incubated more than 60 startups, and it's your turn to coloring the futures. So this is my last slides, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope I will see the next startup founders, the next Mark Zuckerberg, the next Steve Jobs from these forums. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bagus Panuntun. What an interesting topic you present. Actually, I myself is interested that you give a fact that actually the recession today is a good opportunity So
Yes,
we
it's
not
right.
only look for all the bad things happen, but it's actually the opportunity to start a business.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I think now we move to the discussion session. We still have a lot of time, maybe we still have like a 40 minutes, because I believe that our webinar will be come until 11:30, if I remember correctly. So before we start the discussion session, I would like to try to summarize your point to begin to trigger your questions. Number one, COVID-19 keep increasing and becoming the global issue, and it make the shock wave, which is capital, talent and job, market, and also operational management. So there will be a change at that 4 area. And number two, technology, you put technology in business and it will be survive. So because of this situation, maybe if you put the technology, digitalize your business, it can be survive. And number three, recession is actually good opportunity to start a business, because you will be think harder in this emergency situation, and there's not many competitors. And the last one is importance of value proposition by linking what customer needs and the value of your company. Yeah, it's interesting question. And also you also give a bit information about what IBISMA do, which is what OEE can do to facilitate all of OEE student idea regarding business. Okay. I think we move to the next session, which is a discussion session. If you have any question to Mr. Bagus, you can use your raise hand feature in Zoom to directly ask Mr. Bagus via Zoom, or you can write in chat room in Zoom. Please, if there is a question. Okay, I will open the discussion session now. Please, if you have any question, use a raise hand feature in Zoom. Wait for the questions. It's still filtered by the committee, so please wait for a moment. Maybe while we're waiting for a question from the audience in Zoom, I think I will discuss a little bit more about the topic you present. I am truly interested in this value proposition. If I remember correctly, it's value proposition. It's like you link what the customer needs and your company value. My question is how we identify what customer needs, and on the other hand, we have resources, right? We have our company have human resource, and also machine maybe, or raw materials, and other factor production. How we match it, how we link what customer needs and our company resources.
Okay, so actually when we talk about the value proposition and how to deliver it, this is the most common mindsets of our business founders, that when they start the business, they will start from their mind, and then they see the customers. But actually, the right way that we have to perceive is you have to see your customer first, and then you will think about how I solve it. So when we talk about the customers, you can see at least 3 points. The first one is the segment, the profile of your customers. the type of your customers. You can see it by traveling and see some segment in some area. And then after you get the segment and profile from your close observations, and then you have to at least put 2 types of clusters. The first cluster is the customer pain. And then the second cluster is a customer gain. So the customer pain is something that customer really pain, and when this pain is not being solved, they will die. And then put the list, the pain number 1, pain number 2, pain number 3. And then the second cluster, after list the pain, and you have to list the gain. The gain is something that customer will be happy when you fulfill it. But if you not fulfill, the customer will not die. And then the first and the second clusters, after you get the pictures of customer profile, then you will think what pains that you can solve. I suggest for the new startups, usually limited by resources and fund, they cannot tap all of the problems to be solved because it will be costly. So you have to choose at least 3 priorities, maximum 3 priorities to be solved. It's better when you get only 1 priorities, but the severity of the pain really big. And then after you tap 1 problem, a very big pain, and then you create the solution. So the create solution, the create of product is the last steps. So you can, as an entrepreneur, you can take many resources from every part, from every business partners. You don't have to make by yourself, for example, at the first stage. Or if you have a capability, resources, you can do it. But if you cannot do that in the first stage, no problems. You have to make a lot of partners to create the solutions. So actually, these steps is the most, what we call, sustainable. Because when you solve the problems, solve the customer problems, and no other competitors could do so, then they will buy your product without thinking. How much money they will spend it? They will spend it. That's the point.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have several questions from the audience. If you don't mind, I will read one by one.
Okay, please.
There are 3 questions that come via chat Zoom. Question number 1. So I will ask a question and you will answer one by one. Okay, it's okay?
Okay.
Okay.
One by one, no problem.
Question number 1 is, what is your prediction of business environment after COVID-19 in ASEAN?
Okay. Actually, when we talk about predictions, every business owners, every governments, and every part in the business will get these questions, very big questions. In the microeconomies, you can take the answers from how the Ministry of Finance in every country create the solution for their countries, actually, from the microeconomics. But from the microeconomics, you can see the landscape of business for every countries. Actually, some of the experts of micro also provide any analytics about the next business after pandemics. You can take from many resources as your comparisons. But from my suggestions is, when we run a business in recessions time, please be rational. Be rational. Why be rational? Because in these recessions, you really have a limited cash, but you still have to be ready for the next plan. When the recovery is over, you have to make a development plan, what we call as long as you could avoid it. For example, if you think your business included in a potential winners, like I put on slides before, if your business is already in a potential sectors that become the winner, but your stage of company is still small, please don't forget to invest for the next business development. If you less technologies, you input the technologies in there. If your business is what we call localized, try to invest to become more global. And then if your business right now is one customer segment, try to expand to another segment. And then these situations will tell you whether it happens, it works or not. So actually in a business, there are no right or wrong answers. In a business, they are validated or not. That one. And you can validate by yourself by answering the markets.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's move to the next question. We already have 3 questions. And okay, we move to the question number 2. You already explained your prediction about the business environment after COVID-19, especially in Asian. But there's also a question, would you mind to explain or share your thoughts about the potential business after this COVID-19 pandemic? We believe that you already said that actually this recession is an opportunity.
Yes.
So what kind of business that we potentially able to make during this pandemic? What our opportunity actually?
Okay. Okay. The business opportunity after pandemics, at least when we enter the new normal situations, perhaps we call it the new normal situations. In these new normal situations, when we run the health protocols, it will impact on how we run the business. The first one, every business that conduct the technologies, every business, even when you put the ICT as your infrastructures or IoT right now, you will get any opportunities for the next situation, even in farming. Right now, when the farming activities inputted the technology that we call IoT, the farming business become the smart farming that not being run by the peoples, but could be run by the drones, run by satellites, and run by the smartphones. And these situations, why this smart farming, for example, smart farming still become the big opportunities? Because every people still need foods. Every people need have their basic needs. And that farming still become the good opportunities. The second one, if not in the upstream business, you can try to derivative one. For example, the packaging foods. In the previous pandemic, there happens the frozen foods, but the frozen is only prolong the expire of your products for some months. But try to develop the packaging food with the last longer lifetime, and then these foods is also become your lifeline, and then every customer need that. So the upstreams, and then try to derivative one, and then even if you're not in the real sectors, a lot of students, for example, optimize the e-commerce. Every product could put it on e-commerce, everything. And then if they could develop their own e-commerce, for example, like from the informatics students, or they are learn the programming language, you can develop your own business. And then a lot of small medium business that will need your services if you if you what we call develop your own e-commerce. So at least that's some examples that I can give to you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And I remember in one of your slides that you mentioned several potential losers and also potential winner, and the winner is dominated by IT.
Yes.
Yeah, so IT is important if you want to search for the opportunity after pandemic. Please do digitalize your business.
Transforming to digital.
Yeah, yes, transform to digital. It saves you a lot. Okay, now we move to the third question. This is a case study question.
Oh, that's
Okay,
great.
sir, I have a product in medical devices,
Medical
such as
devices.
mask, hand sanitizer, and etc. How to win among the competitors? Because of course, you're going to find lots of product as well in medical devices in the market. So because of the pandemic, many medical companies, nowadays the market becomes so tight, right? Because many people make masks, hand sanitizer. So how to win it in this kind of situation?
Okay. Actually, when your business is producing the hand sanitizers or even producing the what we call the mask, it will be different when you entering the different market. For example, you really entering the retail market with the low spending of your customer, low spending budget of your customers. There will be a lot of competitor exist. There will be a lot of competitor exist. Even with a very low standards of health, up to a quite qualified, high qualified standard of health. But if you are the students or the university students, try to develop your basic solutions of hand sanitizers or basic solutions of masks to input it to a more advanced features that differentiate from your competitor exist. Then you communicate to your customers that your product is different. Then perhaps they will perceive your value. But if, for example, if your product is producing the mask, the differentiation is only for printing, that's very easy for your competitor to what we call duplicate or even imitate your products. Then your existence or sustainability of your products is very small. But for examples, you try to look for a different fabrics of your mask, and then you communicate that these type of fabrics are very good for your health, for examples. That's another way of thinking to differentiate your product. Or even in hand sanitizers. Usually hand sanitizers using the alcoholic for many percent, for examples. But for examples, when you could combine your hand sanitizers with another ingredients, and you tap it with different customer segment, for example, not a high awareness of health, but become the lifestyle. When put it the hand sanitizer in one part of your lifestyle, health lifestyle, that could different your product to another competitors. So the point is, try to keep your differentiations among the competitors. That's the first journey pursuing your sustainability business.
Thank you very much. So the key is when so many competitors, be different.
Should be different.
Yes. Okay. I get a message from the committee that there are also several of our audience want to directly interact with you via Zoom.
Oh, okay.
So there's already several audience that raise hand in Zoom, and I would like to call Mr. Fajar. Mr. Fajar, please unmute your Zoom and open the camera. Oh, okay, he's already connect with us. Mr. Fajar, hello.
Yes.
Okay,
Hello.
please if you want to ask question or discuss something with Mr. Bagus, take your time.
First of all, thank you to moderator for the opportunity, and also thank you to Mr. Bagus for the presentations and also the explanations. It's really give many advantage actually for this current conditions. First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
My name is Fajar. I'm from UII. Actually, I would give some questions to Mr. Bagus that I heard before in your presentations. If I'm not mistaken, you said that this is the best time to create a business in these conditions. So my question related to your statement is, when we already create the business in these current conditions, so that adjust with these conditions, do you think that it will be sustained in the future? That we know hopefully in the future that this pandemic will be disappear and the condition will be normal again. So do you think that the business that we make in these situations can adjust, can be sustained in the future when the conditions back normally? Thank you, Mr. Bagus and moderator for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Fajar. Okay.
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 Okay, thank you very much, Pak Fajar. So, first, when we talk about is this the right time to start the business, I also agree with the statements from the researchers, because from the previous point that in the recessions, your competitor will be less, because a lot of existing competitor in the market, I believe, also collapse. So the red oceans that you will face perhaps become the blue ocean again. That's the first point. And the second point is, in these sessions, when you really take care seriously to get the values, then that's the core business that you hold on in the market. So your footstep in the market is a very strong values. And then your question is, when we start the business right now, and then we hope the pandemic will be over, so how to keep the business sustained? Actually, to answering is quite simple, because the business should be growth. For example, your solutions also should be growth, because the demand of your customers also will be grow up again after the pandemics. So you have to create another diversifications of your services later, diversifications of services, or even derivative of your products. For example, in these recessions, you only have one product. This is a very core of your business. But later, when the economic recovery, you also have to innovate again, starting again the wheel of innovations. Then you create the second products. Also, keep the concept of problem solution fit. If you remember when I said before, you listed 3 pains. In these recessions, you solve the first pain. After you enter the market and then it's settled, try to solve the second pain with second products. Then your product will be 2. Your business will be growth. After you settled again, you answering the pain number 3. And then you create another innovation, and then you deliver the third product, for examples. So your business will be grow up again. So even we don't know when this pandemic over. We also have expectations that every clouds have a silver lining, isn't it? That's our expectation. A lot of businessmen have expectations. But I will give you some reminders that the WHO in the first press conference before pandemics become disasters, in world disasters, they have the predictions that the COVID will be happens around 2 years at least. So as a business predictions, you have to be ready for this pandemic situation at least up to 2022. Yeah, up to 2022. If the pandemic in your countries, in Indonesia or in other countries are recovery sooner, that's a windfall. That's a very good for the business. But when we will have a business for longer times, so we have to be ready for the worst case. And that's the point that I will give it to you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we have a question for our fellow friends from USIM. Okay. From Nur Syafiqah. Nowadays, many people start up their own business by joining the dropship again, and also create the new product to create their own brands.
Okay.
Would you like to give your opinion about how to survive in business, especially for those that still fresh in business world? How you still newbie in business? How can you give us the suggestion to survive, but we still have not many experience in business? Please.
Okay. There is, when we talk a business, there is something that cannot be, that cannot be by the money, is experience and time. And the last one is the mental and attitudes. Actually, no problem for every one of you want to start the business, you can start small. Even when your activities is only doing a dropshipper or a reseller, but you try to give the more value added. When after you buy the products from the brand, the principal brand, then you give the value added on your product. For examples, you do repackagings or redesign of some products, and then you offer it to the market. That's a simple value added that you could provide. Later, the time will tell you. When you run the business, yeah, you start from the small experience, then you could get, first one, the networking. Second one is experience to solve the problems. And then the last one is the mentals as entrepreneurs. So even when you are still in high school, for example, just do the business. Dropshipper, reseller, no problems. But don't forget to give the value added. By giving the value added, you try to look for solving the problems. That one. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay. And now we have a question for our fellow friends from University Putra Malaysia, from UPM.
Okay.
I want to ask how the business adapt with the change that occur during the pandemic of COVID-19. And just want to share to all participants in UEE and USIM, UPM also have one organization that helps students in business that known as Center of Entrepreneurial Development and Graduate Marketability, or CEM. So actually in UPM also there's like an incubator of business similar with IBISMA and UEE. Maybe in the future we can have a
I hope we can make collaborations with the Center of Entrepreneurial.
UPM also have a business incubator also. Okay, that's the question. I repeat the question. I want to ask how the business adapt with the change that occur during the pandemic of COVID-19.
Or perhaps you could divide more clearly the change that on your mind. What is the change? There's a lot of changing in crisis also.
There's actually a lot of change.
Okay.
So it should be more detailed to what kind of change. Yeah. But how to adopt? Maybe I will. Maybe how to transform from. You said that before that it will be better if we transform to digital. So how to adapt the digital? How to change to digital? Maybe the question related with that.
Okay. Okay, I will try to answering. Okay, when you point out how to adopt in a changing, even a fast changing situations, this is one what we call one word that every business should have. What is that? The one word is agility. So every business should put in their mind that their business should be agile. And this agile word means that you listed every problems that happens from the changing situations. For example, from the regulations, examples from the business competitions, or from another stakeholders. You put list down and you make a strategy how your business will will make actions to get out from the problems. And then some of them is, for example, streamlining the organizations, for examples. Because by streamlining the organizations, you will cut down any what we call the secondary or tertiary cost. You only focus on a basic cost. And then streamlining the organizations, you put a very strategic persons in the teams for a very strategic decisions, for examples. Or streamlining your line of services and products. Because every product have a cost to distribute it to the market. For example, if your product, if your business is product based, streamlining the line of your products, or streamlining on your line of services, because in this world, in recent world, the demand of customers before pandemic is quite high, the level of satisfactions, and I believe for the business, a high customer satisfaction level will impact to the cost that you deliver to maintain your customers. And based on these situations, when your company have to be agile, you could streamlining. You could decrease the number of services, but keep the core of services become your unique value propositions. That's some of the solution that I give it to you when you want to make your company agile, for example. Because when agile, every waves, like the health wave, shock wave, then you could adapt with the situations.
The key is streamlining.
Yeah, one of it.
Okay.
Streamlining
Thank
and
you very
agility.
much. Okay. I believe that we have time until 10:30, so 5 minutes more. Maybe is it okay if we answer one more question?
Okay, please.
Okay, it's the last question. Sorry, from Hania from UII. I would like to ask a question regarding this issue. We all know that sometimes startups are born with the purpose of developing and selling intellectual property. Once the firm accomplishes that, the firms end its operation.
Sorry.
Once the firm accomplishes that, the firm will end its operation.
Will
end its operation. So the startup is finished. Then, is it possible to measure corporate sustainability in this case? How can we measure sustainability in a startup other than match its value with its customer profile? Thank you. So maybe it's the question related with startup that related with only the short-term startup, maybe only make several project or application, and then after the project end, the startup will end. Such as develop the application.
Oh, I think the questions talk about the intellectual property,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Okay, by selling the what we call intellectual property to another parties.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it's a very good question. you as the what we call the teenagers talk about the intellectual property right. Yes, in a business, intellectual property right is one of the essential parts, because this intellectual property has become your assets of your business. But the problem is, when you said, is it after selling the intellectual property to another party, then your business will be closed, because your intellectual property is being taken by another. In these situations, actually, there are some history. There's some history when we talk about intellectual property. If you learn about intellectual property right, there are a lot of strategies to run a business by selling intellectual property. For examples, when you as an inventor, you invent something, and you have to, as soon as possible, register your intellectual property, then you can license it to another party. Okay, by this type of licensing, every company that buy the license and produce it, they will have to pay the royalties to the inventors. Even the inventor is not produce the business by themselves, because the product or the invention is produced by another people, but the royalty for every product that being produced also being transferred to the inventors. So my suggestions to you, if any one of you, for example, the students that have the innovations, please, as soon as possible, if these innovations are worth it in value of money, worth it for business to be commercialized, call the officer in your university and register the intellectual properties. For example, from UPM, in UPM, if you already have the business incubators, the students could talk the incubators to protect the intellectual property and register it. In UEE also, if some of the students from UEE, you have innovations, just contact the IBISMA, and then you protect the intellectual property and you run the business by saved. That's the basis.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that many of you still want to discuss with us, with Mr. Bagus, but unfortunately our time is going to end now. So thank you very much, Mr. Bagus, for joining with us today.
Thank you very much.
And
You're welcome.
thank you very much for all of you to join with us in this session. We still have a lot of event in these next 5 days. We still have webinar tomorrow. We still have call for business and business plan competition, and also virtual company visit. So please stay tuned for the next 5 days in this event. Okay, I'm Dika as a moderator. Thank you very much for joining this session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to our inspiring speaker, Mr. Bagus Panuntun, and the great moderator, Mr. Dika. By the end of the webinar, the session of the first day has also ended. Keep your spirit and do your best. See you tomorrow. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.